Good morning and welcome to today's webinar. Today's topic is manufacturing. My name is Warwick Gerber. I'm one of the customer account managers here at Tracware, and we're hopefully going to just look through the basic operations of the manufacturing module within Aerotrac. Just a bit of housekeeping. Can I just ask you all to mute your microphones? Turn off your video feeds. This just helps with any sort of bandwidth issues we may have, because I know not everyone's internet is brilliant. And also, if you do have any questions at any point throughout the presentation, if you could just use the chat function, my colleague Andy will be monitoring that, and we can take a look at any of those questions towards the end of the session. So again, just to reiterate, the aim of today is to look at the various functionalities relating to production and management of manufactured parts within Aerotrac. And we're going to cover a few subjects today. So we're going to look at how the sales orders work in relation to parts being ordered and manufactured, the work orders which control the manufacture of the parts, the drawing registers, how to set up the BOMs, the works order finished goods process, so that once your parts are finished, how you get them back into stock so that you can then ship them out to the customer. And if we've got time, we will likely touch on the first article inspection functionality that is available within Aerotrac. So if we're all happy, what I will do is jump straight into the live demo. So hopefully you can all see my screen. The first thing that we're going to look is within the administrator module. So if we go back to the main application, if you just click on administrator, this will bring you to the administrator module, and we need to go into administrative setup. And here we've got one that says manufacturing setup. So one of the first things we need to really do is define our drawing types, because drawings are obviously a very important part within the manufacturing module, as this helps obviously to produce the part. So we need to make some definitions here, and we need to set up drawing types so that these can then be selected within the drawing register, which we'll go through shortly. And it's very quick and easy. All you need to do is click on add drawing type and enter a description, and then click on save. I'll just cancel that for now, but as you can see here, we've got a couple already set up, sort of assembly parts, or if it's a detailed drawing, just helps you kind of manage the different types that you may encounter during the manufacturing process. Okay, so once that's set up, we can come out of there, and then we can basically go back into the main Aerotrac system. And we want to then head towards this manufacturing tab here. And the first thing we want to look at is this drawing register. Okay. So I have already set up a drawing within the system just as a test for us. And I've just called it assembly one. Obviously, this would be whatever the design organization or the authority who's issuing the drawing, whatever their drawing number is. And that's what you would use to add the drawing into your system. It's dead easy just to add a new drawing. Just click on add new drawing, type in the drawing number, and just follow all the information that is required. I'll just cancel that for now and go back to the one I'd already set up. So what we've got, originally Aerotrac was set up so that you'd actually have physically printed drawings. So if you did print any, you could actually record each sort of version or each copy of that drawing. And so, but in today, with everything being sort of online and sort of single uses, that's not necessarily needed, but we'll look at that in a second. So on this front page, we've got the drawing register. And on this top part, you can see what the drawing number is. It's type, as we defined earlier within the administrator module. And we've also got what the latest issue is here. Obviously, if this big drawing becomes obsolete, we can edit that and check this box, and this will stop it from being selected on future jobs as well. We've also got this section here where it says where used. So basically, anytime this drawing is actually referenced, you can see that listed here. And as you can see, we've got it linked to a BOM. We've also got it linked to these route masters, but not only to the route masters, but also to which operation within that route master as well. And again, when we look at setting up the route masters, we can see where we'll set those up. So again, this is a good way to sort of show, especially if you're up issuing a drawing, what parts of the system or which areas of the system will be affected by that up issue. On this bottom half of the screen, you can see the drawing issues. So obviously we had an initial issue at revision A, which was in 2019, but we can see that this has been up issued to the latest, to issue B in 2022. And you can see here the number of copies of each version of that drawing that are within the drawing library. The bottom bit here obviously is the details relating to that issue, and here you can see that it says this is the latest issue. And you can put in as much or as little information here as you need, and then obviously you can even physically connect it. If you've got that document saved on your server, you can link that down here as well. If we move along to the next tab, the drawing library, this is where I was saying about if you've got multiple copies of hard copies printed off, you can actually control where they are and who, where they are within the system and who they've been issued to. This also helps if you are up issuing any copies, how many you've got to up issue as well. Okay. So here we've got the status is in the library, so that means it's not been booked out, it's with the document manager. Again, because most things are online now, you'd normally just have one copy on a server, and so you'd probably just have one entry here as the master copy or a server copy here. But this option does allow you to book them in and out as well. So if you do physically still issue drawings to the shop floor, you can use this functionality to book them in and out. This will also highlight, again, if a drawing is up issued, where these might be affected, and if you need to go and retrieve any from the shop floor and replace them. Okay. Then what we can do is go to the next tab, is the usage history. So we can look at the latest issue, and then obviously for each copy as well, we can actually see where they've been used. So obviously copy number 1 was first registered in 2023 and it's booked in 2023 there. If we go to copy number 2, we can investigate that, and we can see that that particular copy has been booked out to a specific manufacturer order here. MA 10350. Okay. And you can see the dates it was booked out and the dates it was booked in. So you know that it's been returned and it's not on the shop floor and doesn't need to be retrieved at any point. So that's the drawing register, and it's good to get this set up first, because when we start looking at the route masters and bombs, we need to have a drawing set up so that we can reference these in these other areas of the system. Okay. So we can come out of the drawing register now, and what we will do now is look at the part masters. So if we go into materials and we go to part configuration and part master, so there's some specific things that we need to ensure that are set up within the system, so that it allows you to be able to actually manufacture these parts. So I've created a dummy part here called part 1, nice and original. And obviously, if it's serialized or anything like that, we need to make sure that we have that checked off. But the main important areas is this supply and issue. So in supply and issue, if you're manufacturing religiously, if you're only going to be able to manufacture it, you can't purchase it, then you need to make sure this source option is set to make. So there are a few options. There's buy, make, or dual, primary buy or primary make. So obviously, if you can purchase the part, but you can also manufacture it, you can set which is your most preferred way of doing it, whether you're buying it or making it. If you only just have buy, that means you won't be able to raise any work orders against the part. And if you've got any make, if you've got it down as make, you will only be able to raise a work order. You won't be able to actually add it to a purchase order. Okay. So we're just going to set this as make, and obviously we've set the manufacturer as us internally. Okay. The other tab we need to also look at is the manufacturing tab here. So here is where we can define where the drawing. So we did define a drawing earlier, so we can then select that here. and we've also got the drawing issue. There's also a route master here, which gets populated. So when we go and set up a route master, we will see that link together. We've also got this checkbox here for the BOM has been defined. So when we built the BOM, we could set that as checked. There's also this part here for the economic batch quantity. So obviously when you're making parts, you want to make sure it's as economical as possible. And so you can even set sort of minimum batch quantity. So this will highlight on the system when you need to have a specific value. So if a customer only orders 1, but your economic batch value is 50, you obviously either get the customer to buy 50, or you tell them that it's just not economically viable to manufacture that 1 part unless they're willing to obviously pay for it. And you can also see it on the right as well, the manufacturing status. So here we says we've got a first article inspection is required. So when we finish the job and book it into stock, that first article will need to be processed. And we can also see that it has been added to our capability approval as well with the capability reference number. This was covered more in the quality module and quality webinar that we've done. So setting all that up, if you want to have a look at that webinar, that will give you more details on setting up the statuses and the release types, which all need to be set up again prior to being able to release a part. So that's everything to make sure that we've got set up within the part master. So we can save that. And then what we will do now is look at the BOM. So in the part configuration again, and we've got BOM, we can click on there. And if I bring my screen up here, so again, what I've done is that I've pre-populated one of these as well. We can select it. The screen looks slightly different to the rest of Aerotrac. It's just the way it was built, and it's been in the system for quite a while. But it's because it's a sort of solid foundation, it's very difficult to update this. But it's all pretty basic and self-explanatory. Along the top, you've got you can create a new BOM, or you can open a BOM, edit, delete. So all your actions are along the top here. And on the left-hand side, you've got what's called a tree view. So this gives you sort of like a drop-down breakdown of everything that is part of that assembly. So if we're looking at part 1 being the top-level assembly, and then all these other parts below it are sub-parts, then that make up this top level, it sort of breaks it down. And you can basically go down to multiple levels. So you can have sub-assemblies and sub-assemblies, all with their individual parts that are required to make the top level, and then you just build it up to make the top level final assembly. As you can see here, for the part 1, we require parts 2 and 3 as well to make that. And we've got these set up in the BOM as make. So what this will mean that we will also have to potentially set up work orders to manufacture these sub-components. And once they've been manufactured, we can then issue those to the main parent work order to build the top level assembly. So if I just click on edit, I can just show you some of that. So to add a part to a BOM, it's very simple. Basically, if you just right click on the top level that you want to add to, you can just click on add parts, and we can just literally search for anything and select it, and then that puts it in here. And as you can see, because in the part master, that part has got a sources by in the issue demand, that's already pulled that through into here as well. Okay. So that's basically quite simple, just to add that. If you were to add a part that had already had another BOM set up against it, that would then pull through as an assembly, and then you get the sub-assembly built for you, and that will pull through all those individual parts as well. So you wouldn't have to add every individual part for that as well. Okay. So what we're going to do is we need to just delete this part. This was just for demo. So literally to remove a part, right click on remove part, delete this part, yes, and that's taken that away. We've got this button here. You've either got the save icon or the one next to it, which basically means you cancel any changes. We can just click on that, and that will restore the original setting as well. This is also where we would set up and link the drawing number to this BOM as well, and that again is all linked together. So once we've got the BOM set up, we can then close this. So we can just use to close the bill of materials. And what we can do now is we can look at the route masters. So again, under the manufacturing tab, we've got this other tab here called route masters, and that'll open the route master module. I've set one up for this particular part, 1115 part 1 here. And as you can see at the top, we've got a load of information of what it relates to. It's a new build and what the route number is, description, part number. And here we have all the individual operations that we require to manufacture this part. So this is basically your step-by-step guide to build or manufacture your part number. Okay. It's very easy just to add a part. If you do edit or anything like that, you can create new issues. We're not going to in this instance, but this helps with sort of version control if you were to edit it, especially because you can approve or unapprove drawings. So this is currently approved. So to make any amendments, we need to first unapprove it. And as you can see, it now just says this route is unapproved. We can then add a new item. And then we can select what type of item it is, the final inspection or an NDT stage, anything like that. We can provide some full instructions in here, carry out test. And then also, if it's an inspection stage or a subcontract stage, we can set those up here. Again, these are also linked to the work centers. So in the administrator module, if you set those already up, they will automatically populate this side of the screen for you. You've also got another tab, if we move across the bottom, complete instructions. So what this does is allow you to provide a lot more detail for that particular operation. So the first tab is more kind of for your routing and sort of a basic overview and gives you that quick snapshot of where the part is up to. The complete instruction may have some detailed instructions of actually how to physically carry out that particular step or if there's any special requirements. If we go on to the next tab, we've got time allotments. So this is where you can start building up how long it's going to take to perform that particular task or that particular operation. Is there any lead time? So queue days, how long does it take to set up, and the estimated time per item. So obviously this is per item. So if you were to manufacture site like we looked at before, there's a minimum quantity of 50. This would get multiplied by that factor of 50. Drawing requirements. So again, we said earlier about having to set up the drawings, again, because we can link drawings to each operation. So each stage could have its own separate drawing if required. And it's as simple as just clicking add drawing, and then we can assembly, and there we go. We've got the drawing, we can then add it, and that brings it up here. Okay. And again, if it's not the right drawing, we can just simply click remove drawing. The next tab is the tooling requirements. So if you require any specialist tooling, again, you can just simply add those here. What that'll do is show up on the work order as being required and allows you to then quickly and easily book them in and out of stock and ensures that you're using the correct tool for that particular job. If there's any kits, so kits we've not really discussed in much detail, but this is basically if you have a predefined kit for that to manufacture this part, you can set those up and quickly import those here. And the final tab is engineering defaults. This basically works out for the batch quantity that you're producing, how long it's going to take in total. And as you can see here, it's an estimated total per work order. We've got 6 hours and 40 minutes. And that's based on the build times of 7 minutes per item multiplied by 50. And then the additional setup for the work order is 50 minutes, bringing us to roughly 6 hours, 40 minutes. And we've also got 13 days lead time. That's because one of the stages, this particular stage here, is down as a subcontract, and it's being given in the time allocation a 10-day lead time. So that means that sort of added up and provides a full total at the end. So all those total lead times have been added up for a work order. What I'll do is I'll just cancel those changes because we don't really want to add that final stage. And as you can see here, these are all the stages that we've defined we require to take to build this part 1 part number. Okay. You can have as many stages as you need to obviously manufacture it. And also what you'd probably want to do as well, if you've got sub-assemblies, is to build separate routes for each sort of sub-assembly, so that when you raise any sub-work orders, they will automatically get pulled through based on the part number and description. So that is setting up the route master. So now basically we've got everything sort of set up in the system, and this should now allow us to be able to raise a work order. Now, what normally happens is you get a customer and the customer orders a part, and you would want to sell that part to them via a sales order. So we can go to the sales order screen in the commercial section. If I now have a quick look at ones we've already set up. So I've set this sales order up here. If I just double click, and I can see the order details, and if I go to the parts, here we've got that one part has been ordered. Okay, so we require one of these parts to fulfill this sales order for the customer, one brand new part, and currently there's no free stock available. What we have got, if you've got lots of parts that have been ordered and that need to be manufactured, straight from this sales order screen, we've got this option down here at the bottom for manufacture orders. So basically, if we can click on that, this will raise a work order for all items outstanding on this order where the sourcing from the part master is set to make. So if it's set to buy, it will exclude those from raising a work order for you within the system. So we can then click on yes, and that will automatically raise a work order. Obviously, I've already raised one specifically for this, so it's raised no work orders because we've already got one fulfilled. But this is just a quick way of being able to quickly raise multiple work orders in one go from a populated sales order screen. Okay. So once you've got that, your work order will have been raised, so we can then navigate to that. Again, if we go to the manufacturing tab, and we've got work orders here. We open that up, and here you can see the one that I've pre-populated already. Okay. You can see that we've pulled through the routings here. So the routings that we'd set up in the route master have all been pulled through. Parts required. So on our BOM, we had two items, part 1 and part 2, which you can see have been pulled through here. But what I've also done is just to show is you can actually still edit the parts required in the work order as well. So this bolt here that I've just added as an example, you can see here it's saying this is not on the BOM. Okay, so again, it's just making you aware that this item has not been set up in the BOM and it's been added manually. Okay, so just to make you aware that should you need to obviously change it or remove it or anything like that, you can do. But the same process, if you've seen our materials webinar, that will go through how parts are issued to and from jobs and picked from stock and everything like that. So we won't specifically go into any kind of those details, but I was just showing you that there is an option here to edit that. And then obviously, if you do need to edit, you just click on the edit work order. We can highlight that, and then we can just delete that part here. We can remove that, and that's remaining. Leaves those two, and we can then save, and that's saved the items here. Through the work order detail screen, again, we need to just make sure that everything has been set up. So here we've got the route number, the drawing, the BOM drawing numbers, the drawing revision, and the issue. You can quickly look at the drawing. We can click on view. That will bring us to the drawing register, and we can see here. So that's a quick link button there for you, just to make you aware. And we can also see at the bottom here, we've got the sales order that is being requested from. Again, we've got a quick button here. We can click on view, and that will load up that sales order for that customer for that part here. Okay, and we can close that down. We go and just move along the tabs. So we have the parts required, and then we've got the parts issued. So what I had done is previously raised two sub work orders to manufacture these parts, put them into stock, and put them and pick them to this job. So here you can see that it's gone through the whole goods in process, receiving process with batch numbers and picking lists. So you've got that full traceability of any parts that you've issued to this work order. Now, if we go to the next tab, drawings, here we can see all the drawings that are required, and they're broken down by the operation numbers, because again, as we demonstrated earlier on the Route Master, each operation could potentially have its own set of drawings. And so they would all be listed here, and also gives you any notes or any open engineering change notes or anything as part of the change management system that is available in Aerotrac. And this bottom section is again used for controlling if any drawings have been issued. So if any of those hard copies which you control have been issued to the job, you know that when they were issued and if they've been returned. So if during the middle of the manufacture process you get a revision update, you can see how many of those drawing copies need to be returned and updated. We can then look at the tooling tab. Again, we mentioned earlier that you can identify the toolings required, and here we've got this specific tool required for this particular op number. And you can see here when they've been issued or when they've been returned. So we can see here that this tool was issued on the 27th of March and then was also returned, and who booked it out. Okay. It will also identify when and if there's any maintenance required as well. So that's a way of controlling your tooling for your manufactured orders. Technical tab for any publications. If you have linked any publications other than drawings, they would pop up here. Any subcontract processes that you may have, any process orders that you've raised for any particular operations, they will show up here with the costs and when they've been completed and when they were inspected. Any miscellaneous costs that you need to apply to the job can be added on this tab. Hold, so if you need to put a project on hold for whatever reason, you're waiting for stock or anything like that, or waiting for a customer to confirm, or you've got a drawing change, you can set that up here, and again it will allow you to sort of control and track where you're up to with a particular job. Inspections, so we'll look at this again shortly. Because this is what happens when you do your work order inspections. Once you're finished and you get to an inspection stage, they will all show up here, and it will also show you the finished goods receipts as well. So when you come back to review this at the end of a project to close it down, you can look at all these screens, which we'll do later on. Change control. So again, there is a change control operation within Aerotrac to deal with any kind of change requests to drawings or concessions or anything like that. They can all be recorded here and part of your traceability. Serial numbers. So this is where the serial numbers will get generated and are set up in the part master screen. What I will do actually is that's something I did forget to mention earlier. So if we go back to part masters and we pull up that parts one again, and we go to the manufacturing and serial numbers. So here, if we edit the part, here we've got, we can set up how a serial number will look. So we can have this as test, as the prefix. Serial numbers will start with 0, and how many digits we want that to be, we can have that as 3 digits, and you can see here we've got an example of what the next serial number will look like. So test 001, and then we can save that, so that when we do generate or when we issue these parts of the goods work order finished goods process, it will automatically assign these serial numbers to the parts. And if we go back to the work order screen, that's where these will be populated here as well when we finish the process. As always, like with every module, every screen, we've got the diaries entry to help you keep track of any discussions or communications you may have had with customers or internally and what decisions were made. We have the marshalling tab, like in our projects, so you can see all the parts that are required and where they're up to, and we can see that these 2 parts have been delivered to the shop. And then we've also got the labour tab as well, so we can see what labour has been booked to jobs. We can see here for this particular operation we've had 5 hours booked on that operation here as well. Okay, so we've gone through all the tabs. What we need to do now is, obviously, once that's all set up and ready, the next thing we need to do is to print the pack. So there's an option down here that says set as pack print. So obviously, if you want to sort of just keep it internally and on the system and just start your timers rolling, you can set pack as print, but without physically printing anything. However, you click on process pack, and here you've got a list of all the reports that you're able to produce and the routings that help to identify the flow required to manufacture parts as well. And on there as well, you can also have the barcodes as well for if you've got time clock to be able to automatically book time to the jobs on the system as well. So these are all available for you, and you, as always, you can also add your own forms as well should you have any of those. So once you've done that, you click on save, and then you print the pack, and then all those documents will get printed. Obviously, with manufacturing, because it's also very driven by scheduling and timings and things like that, you can see when the pack has been printed. It will give you a suggested release date, sorry, based on when it's required and also on the timings you've set up in your route masters. So that will all get calculated when it suggests that you should release this project to the shop floor to ensure that you meet your deadlines required. Okay. So here we've got a suggested release date of the 12th of March. Obviously, these are just some demos, so the timings may not be completely accurate. However, it's something for you to bear in mind should you need to be able to make sure that you are producing your parts on time. So once we've done that, what we need to do is actually release the project or release the work order to the shop floor so they can start working on the job. And that's done by clicking on this work order release option here, and then highlighting the item you want to release. Obviously, I've already released this as part of the demo, so you can see here it says this work order has already been released, which we know. But if you were to select another item, we can have a look at ones which are waiting release. So on this top bit, you can select awaiting release, and this will show you all those items that we're waiting for. And it's basically just as simple as selecting an item. Oh, that's given us a warning to say the no pack has been printed yet. So again, the system is telling you that you need to do something before it will let you do that. Here we go. We've got this one here. It says the release is overdue, so we can highlight that, and then we can release the work order at this bottom here. You can obviously release as many as you need to, or you can edit releases. So we release that work order, and it's set when we released it. So here, released a workshop on the 28th, even though it was supposed to be a few years ago. If we go back and then we can save that, and then we go back to our live ones. So here we go. We've got a few here where we need to. You can see where all the scheduling is. Okay. For our particular job, if we need to update where we're up to within the process, if we go to this schedule tab here, you can see it's brought up all the stages that are related from that route master for that particular work order and that particular part. Again, giving you all the details of when things are required and are expected to be released. And here we can see this first stage was 1 day late. So when that basically recalculated when actually the rest of the scheduled days were going to be completed or expected to be completed. Obviously, this second stage we have completed, and we completed today, and that's brought us back in line, and so we're now sort of back on track. Because there's a 10-day lead time for this next stage, it's not expecting this next operation to be completed until the 11th of April. So currently it's on time. Now, if we want to update that to tell the system that actually no, we have completed that, we can click on the operation, click on edit schedule. We can set the actual complete date, set that today, who completed that operation, any comments we need to add or anything we need to change. Click on save. Okay, and as you can see, the system has automatically worked out that we're actually now potentially 14 days early with our manufacturing process for this job, and hopefully it's now expected to be released and completed on the 29th, so tomorrow. So this final inspection stage is now, it was planned for the 12th of April, it's now expected for tomorrow. And this is why it's good to keep this updated as you know, as live as possible, because it will give you those that live scheduling, which is very important and allows you to sort of plan your jobs as required. Okay, so we can come out of that now, and if we go back to the routing on the main work order screen here, again we can see that the job, that particular operation, has been completed as well. So the final thing to do, once you've obviously done all your stages, is there's normally going to be a final inspection stage. I mean, you can have as many inspection stages throughout the process as you need to. And to update an inspection stage, because there's a requirement to identify the number of parts that have passed and failed, what you need to do is use this work orders inspection button at the top right here. So we just click on that. We now want to add an inspection. So this is normally where your inspectors would live within the system to be able to update this section. What we need to do then is we can click on add. Any inspection operation stages will be listed here. Because we've only got the one on our route master and it's that final inspection, we're just going to select that. It's automatically populated. We can add a comment, satisfactory. We need to enter the quantity that I've passed. Obviously, we're only making one. So quantity to make, as we can see at the top here, quantity to make, we can select one, pass or fail, the date, which is today, and who inspected it, has provided that. So again, it will only allow those inspectors that are authorized in the system to do manufacturing inspections to do that. If it was to fail, you can select fail, and then what it does, it opens up this option of what the fault code is to help with traceability and tracking. But we're going to set this as passed, and then what we're going to do is save.
What you need to do, work, is actually generate the serial numbers ahead of time. So before the inspection, you should actually generate the serial numbers based on the setup that you've already done.
Okay, yes, sorry, yeah, okay. Right, okay, so we'll just come out of that then. So on this section here, you just remind me where we do that, please, Andy.
If you go to the serial numbers tab.
Oh yes, okay, yes, yeah, okay. So we can edit serial numbers.
There should be an option to allocate serial numbers.
Serial numbers, yes.
So it should actually allocate based on the setup you've already done.
Yeah, auto allocate one new serial number. Confirm one serial number to be allocated. There we go. Yeah, sorry, that was the stage where I missed there. Thanks, Andy, for reminding me on that. So there we go. We've generated the serial numbers. So for this particular build, we've got one item and one serial number. Obviously, again, if you're only doing batch build, this is sort of useful if you're sort of batch building. So if we had the 50, but we were only making 10, we could issue 10 serial numbers initially and then do the inspection stages for that 10, and that allows you to sort of do batch builds. So as my colleague Andy just said, we've assigned that serial number now to this work order. Let's save that work order and we'll go back to that work order inspection. We'll start again, click on add, final inspection. We've got one that's passed. And yes, now we can see we've got this serial numbers. Which serial numbers have we inspected? So we've got this specific one. We've selected that. Again, if there's multiple ones, you can select all or select none, or you can select individual ones that you've got. Add our engineer, comment satisfactory, standard comment, and then we can save. And that's basically the final inspection completed for that. Now, normally, if this obviously is your final inspection, we've got a quick way of then being able to raise the release certificates, which is in the top right corner. So normally, after you've manufactured, everything's been inspected, we want to raise a release certificate so it will go with the part, so it can get booked into stores. So we click on release certificate. We can select the work order that we've got, automatically pulls through in all the information. We need to allocate that serial number, which was test 001. It was new part, who's done it, remarks here. And obviously, because this is manufactured, it's the left-hand side. What we need to do is the release tab is part 21. And then we can save that. And then we can preview the report. And here we've got our Form 1 release. We can then confirm that. And then that's basically put it into the system. And we've got a release certificate number, ARC 172. So that's useful because obviously the next stage that we need to do now that this part has been finished, it needs to go into stock. So currently the item is still sort of on the shop floor. And so what we need to do is do what's called a work order finished goods process. Okay, so that is under the materials tab, under stock movement, and here we've got work order finished goods. So we want a receipt to stock. We click on that, and here you can see, because we've done that final inspection and completed the op, it's giving us this option to select this work order here. So we can select that work order, and it pulls through everything. It's listed our serial numbers, and here what we can do is add that release number, ARC 172, and add that into the system. We've got the serial number and assign serial number, assign 1. Okay, so yes, so if we hadn't assigned the serial numbers at the previous stage, we could do it at this stage as well if we hadn't produced the certificate. So confirm the drawings are correct, click on save. So this is where then the system automatically knows, because we've made this manufacturer order originally for a sales order, it's already said, do you want to allocate the sales or to this part to the sales order that we originally raised, because there's a demand for that. We're going to click yes to aid the process. Allocate all free new stock. We click on yes, and here we go. We've been allocated, and we've pulled through that serial number, that batch number that we've just generated. So that's been picked and allocated. So then what we can do is the stores can then quickly pick that using the pick list button. We're going to use first in, first out because there's only one of these already. Pause through the sales order. It's already selected the serial number. We can then save. And then we can confirm delivery to that sales order. So a very quick process of being able to quickly get a part allocated, booked onto a sales order and picked through the stock system once the work order has been completed. So a quick and easy process there. So we have now completed a work order, booked it into stock, and allocated it to a sales order that can now be shipped. If we go back to our work order, we can have a look at what's now been generated for that, and we can, as a review, because obviously once a job's been completed, you will need to then close it out and to ensure that everything has been completed. Here you can see on this front header, we've now got an update to the parts completed. Quantity to make was 1, quantity completed 1, and quantity in stock is 1, and it gives you that batch number that it was booked in under. Routings, we can see that things have been completed. That was last updated on the 27th. Why has that not come through as completed? We go to work order release, schedule. We can edit that schedule and then say that was completed today. And that was done by Tracware. And we can save that. So we know that that's now been completed. We can see the serial numbers, and here we can see it's been inspected and the batch number that it relates to. On the inspections tab, as we said here earlier, we've got the inspections that took place in the comment satisfactory. We can see the finished goods process, so it's receipted to stock, quantity, batch numbers, costs. So any costs and everything associated with that would get taken through as part of that. And here you can see we've got the release certificate as well, the release certificate number, what type it was, status, and the date as well. So again, all those items are now sort of recorded within this this job. And again, back to the labor as well. So once we've done all that, we can then actually now go back to the header. We can now close out that work order. We can close that out, and that's now closed that order and completed it. Okay. Yes. And that is basically how to perform, the manufacturing functions within Aerotrac, from ordering to raising the work orders, setting up the drawings, the route masters, raising the work orders, adding parts, and then potentially setting up sub orders. Again, if you do need any work, you can raise lower work orders. It will automatically do that for any parts that need to be made. It's exactly the same as the top level. It's just then it all links together and then automatically comes back and issues to the top level manufacturer order if you have any sub components made. One thing I did sort of mention that we might just take a quick look at is the first article inspection as well. So if you do have the quality module, if you go into administrator, we go down to this quality tab, and we've got two items here called first article application, first article inspections. What you would want to do on first article inspections is set up your scheme. So here we've got a generic inspection, and this is your sort of the almost like a routing relating to a first article. So all the stages that you need to perform to complete that particular first article inspection. So this is sort of like equivalent to a route master. You've got this tab here is where used, so you can actually see all the parts where this particular inspection scheme is used. And as you can see here, we've part one, which we manufactured, is there as well. So once you've set that up, you can then go to the first article applications, and this is where then you would apply that particular scheme. And here those parts that we manufactured were part of the manufactured product group, and here you can see all the parts that are relating to it as well. And here we've got the tick and what needs to be done as well. Okay, you can see the work order history. So here's one that would relate to, and so this gives you also a full history of where those have been done and where those inspections have taken place as well. So that was just a quick overview of the manufacturing modules. Hopefully you found that interesting, or able to be able to now use the manufacturing module quickly and efficiently. If you have any questions or anything like that, please again feel free to contact us and let us know if you need any more details on those. We'll probably be doing some future webinars on some more of the detailed items like the first articles, inspections, and things like that, because they do get a bit of in-depth and sometimes can get a bit complicated. And it's not part of sort of the manufacturing module, that's part of the quality compliance module, which is optional as well. So if there's no questions, I can't see any on the chat. Thank you very much for attending. It would be great if you could provide some feedback, either by scanning this QR code or clicking the link in the chat. But any feedback is greatly appreciated. It's all anonymous, and again, it just helps us to see if we're actually hitting the mark, and if there's things we're missing, or there's things you'd like, we can then work on that for future webinars. If there's nothing else, thank you very much. Have a good day, and we'll catch you at the next webinar.